I got inspiration for this joke because you know that we are now during the 3 weeks, 17th of Tammuz, the 9th of Av, and many people don't get married during these 3 weeks. You know that? It's a tradition, it's rabbinical, it's not nowhere in the Bible. So my point is because there are cases of people who got married during the 3 weeks. It's totally valid. It's just not traditional to get married on this time. And I remember once I was actually talking to an elder gentleman in Argentina asking how were weddings back on his days in Europe. And he was telling me that basically it wasn't as complicated as it is in these days. You know, now you have to go to the synagogue, fill up the form, pay the fees, and live it to complete. Back in the day, you get a rabbi, you get a ceremony, and then after the ceremony, the father of the bride will come to talk to the rabbi and say, how much do I owe you? Right? So it was this couple that they were getting married. After the ceremony, father of the bride goes to talk to the rabbi and said, how much do I owe you? And the rabbi said, well, you know what? Give me whatever you think your new son-in-law is worth. $10. The rabbi takes it, puts it in his pocket, and gives 5 back. So I want to talk to you today about places of refuge. Places of refuge. You will see why. So this week's parsha is talking about the cities of refuge. We didn't read it today. It's part of the third cycle of Masei. That is, but it was a beautiful concept back in biblical times. But before we go that, because all the thing about the cities of refuge was how easy it was to access them. And I was thinking about the concept of easily accessing something, any kind of resource that you actually need, or sometimes that you need desperately, how important it is not only that to be available to you, but also to be easier or as easy as possible for you to get it. Because there are many things that sometimes we need, and we know that they are available to us. But to get access to it is so complicated that we give up, or we don't even try. And we all know stories about, people going to municipalities or other places, and you have to start signing forms and forms and forms. Not go to the third floor, they're going to put a stamp. Come back to the first floor. Well, now you make a copy. Go to the second floor, you give, you know what? Forget it. You go back home. Because, whatever was at the end of that, it was probably available to you, but it was so complicated that, time is money. You'd rather move on and do something else in your life, even though you may need that. So I was realizing that in Judaism, we have a trend, I will say, for the last couple of centuries probably, where there was this beautiful trend to make Jewish resources available to everyone. I don't know if you realize that back in the day, accessing Judaism in general, it was virtually impossible. I know that sometimes people say, yeah, Rabbi, it's so expensive to be Jewish, right? Complain all you want. It might be expensive, but it's there for you. Back in the day, you know how difficult it was to find something that it was kosher? Or you know how difficult it was to access somebody who will be willing to teaching you Torah? There are stories in the Talmud where rabbis couldn't afford to go listen to the lectures. And they did, they went to big, great length of sacrifices to do it. And I'm wondering how many people who had the talent to become great rabbis never got smicha because it was so difficult to access. So it is very important, and I think Jewish leaders understood this many years ago. Very important for us to make Judaism easily available for everyone. One little example here at the Shari Zedek is for example, the new Siddur that we are putting together. Why do we have to have, long hours of editing and putting together things to create a new Siddur? To make prayer available to everyone in an easier and friendlier way. Because we believe it is a very important value. That whenever each one of us need to pray to God because you're going through something, we want you to be able to open the book and pray. This is something that sometimes, if the Siddur is not friendly, it's not easy to achieve. That's why I would say that it's a beautiful trend to try to make Judaism and Torah and prayer available for everyone in an easier way. And I realize that, for example, when we feel anxious, when we feel stressed, when we feel sometimes angry for different reasons, or sometimes we simply want to give thanksgiving to God, it's nice to find a way or to find comfort in our sources. To be able to find the comfort to your anxiety in Judaism. To find the comfort to your stress in Judaism. To find the peace to your anger in Judaism. And to find the source to be thankful to God in Judaism. Sometimes, for many people, it's so difficult that they go find it somewhere else. Because so that's why, again, it's a beautiful trend to make Judaism available to everyone. And I was talking about anxiety, stress, anger, because, if you follow the news the way that I do, or maybe a little bit more or a little bit less, you're probably familiar with everything that is that's going on in the Middle East. It's been a roller coaster last week. For one side, we got rid of dangerous enemies of Israel, right? But on the other side, we also have anxiety and stress. What is going to happen next? It's going to be a retaliation. What is going to happen to us? So what do we do with all those feelings? How do we bring peace to our lives so we can continue our lives with internal peace and we can become functional people despite everything that is going on in the news? And again, that concept is not new in the Jewish life. And it's probably not new in your life. You probably feel that thing before. And just because we are dealing with anxiety, with stress, it doesn't mean that we have to be stressed out for the rest of our lives. What we have to do is to find and to bring peace in our lives through Judaism. Now, back to the Parsha. This week's Parsha, as I mentioned, even though we didn't read today, is talking about the cities of refuge. There were 6 cities of refuge back in biblical times. You know what the cities of refuge were? Originally, they were designed for people who will kill somebody else accidentally. Right? You were working with something happened, accidentally you kill someone. Back in the day, the blood relatives of the victims were allowed to revenge that death. And you would say, but it's not my fault. It was an accident, right? So in that case, what you have to do, as soon as something like that happened, you have to go to one of these cities of refuge. And once you are there, nobody can touch you. You are safe and protected until the situation gets sorted out. So the rabbis explained that in order for this system to work, the roads to the cities of refuge, that they were all over Israel, the roads to those cities of refuge were very wide, very flat, so easy to go, and perfectly marked with signs letting you know where is the next city of refuge. Why? So people will be able to find it easily, so they can go to that place to find the peace, the tranquility that they need until everything's settled down. Now, it's interesting, and it's a beautiful principle, because I always think, what if you're in life in the situation that you didn't invite to your life, it just came to you. The same way that is this person mentioned in the Torah who accidentally killed somebody wasn't trying to kill somebody. Something happened and now they have to deal with this situation. Sometimes in life, we have to deal with situations that they're not our fault. they just came to us. We have no control of what Israel does, of what other countries do. It's not in our hands, but it happens. Now it's on us. Now it makes us stress. Now it makes us anxious. So what do we do with that? Well, I believe this parsha is bringing something very interesting. It said, when that happens, when you are dealing with something that is not your fault, what you need to do is to find a place of refuge until things settle down and you can deal with it. In Judaism, that place of refuge is prayer, words of Torah, and the fulfillment of the commandments. In other words, the closeness with God. But if the path to that is not clearly marked, then we have a problem, because we can never reach that place of refuge that we need desperately. So that's why I believe that there is two sides to this story. One side is what Jewish institutions, Jewish places can do to make these places, the Torah, prayer, connection with God, where they can make it easier for you to reach. But on the other hand, it's our responsibility to start that journey so we can find that place. Because this is something that I can tell you about my personal life, that I never realized how beautiful and how comforting it is to connect with these beautiful messages of the Torah to bring peace to my life. I never knew until I tried. And I know many people that they believe that they were still living like 200 years ago, when it was very difficult to access to all that. And it's all the opposite. It's never been so easy in history to access Jewish sources. It's never been so easy to find in the internet one rabbi that will speak to you and you will feel peace immediately. Or to find a melody that it will calm you down. Or to find a prayer in a book that now you understand because it's in English. That it can help you deal with anxiety for the day. So the Torah says, if something that we didn't invite our lives, all of a sudden is there, first thing we have to do is to find a proper place of refuge. And the proper place of refuge in Judaism is not alcohol, it's not drugs, the beautiful teachings of the Torah, and a strong connection with God that would allow us to bring peace back to our lives and to keep that peace there until we can deal with the situation. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.